Wakey, wakey, the Kellogg's football camps are here, all over the country. It's game on. Learn new skills, make new friends, and have loads of fun at your local clubs. Grab your boots for a summer of football at the Kellogg's football camps. Parents, buy a promotional pack of Cocoa Pops, Rice Krispies and cornflakes before the end of June to claim a free day.
Podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be speaking about an extremely famous tournament in Spain. A tournament you would have heard me talk about on the podcast on numerous occasions, but might not actually know what it is or what it's about. And that, of course, is the Spanish knockout tournament, Copa del Rey. Before we get into that and do a few of your shout-outs, on Sunday, the 4th of August, there is going to be something very special happening. A Patreon-only live Football for Kids quiz and live question and answer session. Wherever you are in the world on the 4th of August, you'll be able to log into the live stream with an adult, play along to the Football for Kids quiz and get involved in the Q&A session at the end. Also, I'll be announcing the next series of Kids versus Adults in the live stream and how you can get involved. If you're already a super listener on Patreon, you'll be able to see the link closer to the time, and there's a post about it on the Patreon page already. If you're not a Patreon supporter, then please speak to an adult about clicking the link which says support the show in the description of this episode. Right, before we get into this episode on the Copa del Rey, let's do a few of your shout-outs and your messages. The first one is a massive shout-out to Toby and Oliver, who are super listeners on Patreon. Their dad Duncan got in touch with me to tell me that they are 8-year-old twins and they may well be the biggest Spurs fans in the world. Well, Oliver and Toby, thank you so much for being listeners to the podcast and being super listeners. I hope that you enjoy this episode, and I hope Spurs have a fantastic season when it comes round. The next one says, "Hi, I'm Alex from Canada. I play for Kanata Dragons Football Club. I'd like you to do a shout out to my little brother Anthony. And can you please do an episode on Kaka?" Well, Alex from Canada, a massive shout out to you and to your brother, and there is already an episode on Kaka, and that just happens to be a very recent one which we've done on the Patreon page. So if you're not a supporter and you want to check that one out, you know what you need to do. The next one says, "Hello Darren, my name is Eddie. I am 7 years old and I come from England, but I now live all the way over in New Zealand. I play for the Grade 8 Buccaneers, or Buccaneers maybe, for Hamilton Wanderers. I love playing footy at lunchtime with my buddies, Clark, Bew and Aiden. I have many favourite players, Ronaldo, Messi and Mbappe to name a few. I support Manchester United and would love for you to do an episode on Garnacho." Well, Eddie, all the way over in New Zealand, a massive shout out to you and your buddies, Clark, Bew and Aiden, and everybody that you know and everybody that you play football with. It's always nice to hear that we've got listeners as far away as Australia and New Zealand. So thank you very much for your message. And don't you worry, Garnacho will be one of the first episodes I do when the new Premier League season starts. The last one says, "Hi Darren, my name's Finley and I play for Bay Point Under 7s. Can you give 2 big shout outs to my football club and my family? Can you do an episode on Arsenal and a big Sue? Love the podcast, just started listening from the start. I would like to give the podcast 10 out of 10. Thank you, from Finley." Well, Finley, a massive shout out to you, your football club, your family, and every single person you know, and every single person you know who loves football. And thank you very much for telling me how much you enjoyed the podcast and giving it 10 out of 10. Right then, let's get on with this episode, shall we? On the Spanish Championship, His Majesty the King's Cup, aka the Copa del Rey. So then, the Copa del Rey, what is it? Well, it's a bit like the FA Cup, and I'm sure you've heard of that, and hopefully you've listened to the episode I made on the FA Cup, which was about 200 episodes ago. It's a knockout football competition, and most countries have their own version of it. The FA Cup and the Copa del Rey are pretty similar. Except, of course, we're talking about the Spanish version, where only Spanish teams play. The competition is an old one. In fact, it goes all the way back to 1903, which is 121 years ago, and it's a competition which is run by the Royal Spanish Football Federation. The competition is the oldest Spanish football tournament in the history of football in Spain, and because of that, it's rich in history, and it means a lot. So, to really get a flavour of it, we need to go all the way back to 1902, a time when your mums and dads weren't even born, your nans and granddads weren't even born, and maybe even your great-nans and granddads weren't even born. That's how long ago it was. There was a couple of Spanish businessmen. One of them was called Juan Astorquia, and the other was called Carlos Padros. They were involved in Athletic Bilbao and Real Madrid at points, but so the story goes, they came up with the idea that there should be a 4-team football tournament to celebrate the coronation of the Spanish king, King Alfonso VII. Now, rumour has it, he was a man who liked his paella and his patatas bravas. So, anyway, a year later the first Copa del Rey was launched, and Athletic Bilbao were the winners, and the cup is in the club's museum even today. So, if you're ever over that way, or if you live nearby, there's a pretty special cup to go and have a look at. In the year after that was 1904, the final was going to be a match between Athletic Bilbao and Real Madrid, and Bilbao won again. Guess what the score was? See if you can get it. If you can get it, well, I'll be very impressed. Well, there was actually no score. There was no goals, and there wasn't actually a minute of football played. Athletic Bilbao were the winners, as Real Madrid didn't turn up. And when I say they didn't turn up, I don't mean they didn't turn up on the pitch like they normally do, or put on a good performance. They literally didn't turn up. So Bilbao were crowned the winners without having to kick a ball in the final match. So, there's a bit of history about the tournament. Over the years, the tournament has naturally increased in size, and nowadays there are over 120 teams who battle it out in the competition to try and become the prestigious Copa del Rey winners. Can you have a guess at the top 3 most successful teams who have won the Copa del Rey over the last 121 years? I'll give you a moment to have a think. Right, you got your 3? Well, here we go. Let's see how right you are. Well, in at number 3 is Real Madrid. They've won the competition 20 times over the years, and their first win was in 1905, and the most recent one was in the 2022-23 season. They could have won it 21 times if they turned up in 1904, but that's something we'll never know. In at number 2 is Athletic Bilbao. They've won the competition 24 times. They were the first to ever win it, and it's been a tournament which means a lot to them and always has done over the years, and a tournament which they put a serious amount of effort into winning. Some teams are just good in particular competitions. For example, Arsenal, who are the kings of the FA Cup. Anyway, the team who has won the Copa del Rey more than any other team is FC Barcelona, who have won it a staggering 31 times. I think it's fair to say it'll take both Real Madrid and Athletic Bilbao a very long time if they're going to catch up with Barcelona on this one. The top goal scorer of all time in the tournament is a man called Telmo Zarra, who scored 81 goals for Athletic Bilbao in the tournament. He was a Spanish player who could score with both feet from almost anywhere, especially in that competition. In fact, between the top 10 players who are ranked as the top scorers in the competition since it started, all but one of them are players who qualified to play for Spain. Can you guess who the one player is who is on the top scorers list who isn't actually Spanish in any way? If you said Zinedine Zidane, well, you are incorrect. If you said Cristiano Ronaldo, you'd also be incorrect. Because of course, it was the one and only Lionel Messi, who, in his Spanish footballing career, scored 56 goals in the tournament alone. Oh, and if you thought that's where Messi stopped breaking records in this tournament, I'm afraid you're wrong there as well. Messi holds the record for the most goals in Copa del Rey finals, with 9 final goals. He also holds the record for scoring in more final games in general than any other player in history. He also holds the record for more assists than any other player in the competition's history. He also holds the record for the most appearances in Copa del Rey finals and the most trophies awarded in the history of the competition, which is 7, just in case you were wondering. The trophy itself is a great one. It's a glamorous one which looks very nice in a trophy cabinet, and is one which all the players who play football in Spain dream of winning. The current trophy is made of silver. It weighs 15 kilos and stands at 75 centimetres tall. It was crafted in Madrid by a famous jeweller called Federico Adigre. The Copa del Rey is a magnificent tournament. A tournament which is watched globally by hundreds of millions of football fans in all corners of the world. And it's a tournament which gives the smaller teams a taste of big-time football in Spain, like the FA Cup does in England. It's a tournament which is rich in history, and a tournament that we look forward to watching for many, many years to come. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about the world-famous Spanish knockout tournament, the Copa del Rey. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and don't forget, Sunday, the 4th of August, 6 p.m. UK time, the Football for Kids live stream with me, a Q&A, and all the information you will need to get involved in the next Kids vs Adults series. See you soon.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And remember that Kellogg's have amazing football camps taking place throughout the school summer holidays all across the country. In fact, they're in 73 different locations across the UK. The camps are for 5 to 15-year-olds and are in partnership with the EFL, Manchester City, Celtic and Rangers with FA approved coaches. To sign up today, grab a promotional pack of Kellogg's cereal, find the camp code and redeem a free place at www.kellogsfc.com. Terms and conditions apply.